Paper chromatography. Introduction. Chromatography is a modern technique used for analysis and separation of components of a mixture and also for purification of compounds. The principle of chromatography is based on the differential migration of individual compounds of a mixture through a stationary phase under the influence of moving phase. The stationary phase may be a packed column of porous solid such as silica or alumina, etc., or a filter paper strip. The moving phase may be a solvent or a gas. Paper chromatography is one of the types of chromatographic technique. In this method, a special type of adsorbent paper or Whatman filter paper is used instead of a column. This acts as a stationary phase while the solvent acts as a moving phase. The solvent rises, that is, ascends the filter paper due to capillary action, and components of the mixture on the filter paper rise up at different speeds and get separated from each other. Since the solvent ascends up, this method is also known as ascending paper chromatography. Determination of retention factor of the components of ink. A mixture of 50% alcohol and distilled water is taken in a glass jar. A Whatman filter paper strip, which acts as a chromatographic paper, is taken and the line is drawn with pencil about 4 cm from one end. Another line is drawn lengthwise from the center of the paper. A drop of the mixture of red and green inks is put at the junction of the horizontal and vertical lines. A second drop of the ink is also added to the same spot and allowed to dry up. The filter paper is folded over a glass rod and clipped. Now it is suspended vertically in the glass jar in such a way that it remains about 2 cm above the solvent in the jar. The jar is covered with a lid. It is observed that the solvent rises first, followed by green ink spot and then red ink spot, and settle finally at different distances from the origin. The filter paper is taken out of the jar and the distance that the solvent has risen on the paper is marked with a pencil. This is called solvent front. The paper is dried. Now the distances of the solvent front and the center of green and red spots are measured from the point of origin. The retention factor values of green and red inks are calculated. Calculations. Retention factor of the component in the mixture is equal to distance traveled by solute from the original spot divided by distance traveled by solvent from the original spot. Retention factor of the green ink in the mixture is equal to distance traveled by green ink from the original spot divided by distance traveled by solvent from the original spot. Retention factor of the red ink in the mixture is equal to distance traveled by red ink from the original spot divided by distance traveled by solvent from the original spot.